Hello everyone, it's Kim, aka Spartan Stitcher on Instagram, and I'm back again with another weekly cross-stitching update. Today is the 23rd of November 2020. This is video number 96, and I worked on 3 different pieces this week. So let's get to it. The first piece, I can't really say the first piece, I kind of did a little bit of Star Wars, then went to other things, and then went back to Star Wars. So anyways, first piece I'm going to show you is Witchy Tea Time. This is by the Primitive Hair. It's in the 2014 Halloween just cross stitch, but you can also get it by itself now. And my personal goal on this one was to get it halfway done by the end of this year. So I did, I don't know how, I didn't write down how many stitches I did, but I accomplished my goal. It is now halfway done if you kind of draw like a diagonal line. This is on 32 count Belfast in Salem by Color and Cotton. And there you go. So, a few things here. If you saw my Instagram post, you know I'm going to ask you some questions. And I'll show you the picture again. A few things that I've noticed once I, was stitching these is it being a primitive design, not everything is in there. So, let me show you. That looks funny now. Alright, so look at this middle witch. Look at her chair. There is nothing charted there for the back of the chair. You have the 2 supports, but nothing is going across. And also, as someone else pointed out that I hadn't got to yet, there's no legs to the chair. It looks like she's standing up and has these weird things on her side. So, I have just started down here by her skirt. I still have to do her legs and the cat, so I'm not worried about this part yet. But I've done her on top of the table. So my question is how to make a back of the chair without ruining her silhouette, if you will. And if you go to my Instagram, I put pictures up of a couple different options that I came up with. But I'm also open to ideas. The one that's currently in the fabric that may or may not change is a backstitch version to the back of her chair. Because I didn't want to make her neck look weird or like she had things, like her arms were out. Like, how do you make it look like a back of a chair without making her look weird is my question. So, I finished her skirt is done. She still needs her legs and shoes and then the bottom of the chair. And there's this weird space because once I have the whole width of the table, the orange will do a little scallop. So that's the space you see there is for the scallop. But I think I'll have to go into my Gast, I think it was Butter Crunch is the color that matches my grandma's floss, to do that because I'm almost out of it, just in the orange that I used for the title and here on the witches and the cakes and the mugs. So it is now about halfway done because halfway is in the middle of that witch and I've got this whole top done. So she still needs legs, but there's less than half and then a little bit the small border at the bottom. So that is Witchy Tea Time by the Primitive Hair. Let me know if you have not commented on my Instagram post. You can comment here with any ideas or go on Instagram if you have any ideas. We'll see what I think about it when I pick it up next year. And the second piece to show you is the 52 Weeks of Blackwork Sal. This is also Color and Cotton Cauldron Bubble. It came in the Halloween box. Was that last year? And I did another row, which was the penultimate row. So we only have 5 weeks left. And yes, there are more than 5 weeks of the year left, but since the year started on a Wednesday, like she sent out the first pattern on January 1st, and that was the pattern from the 1st through the 6th. So the last one, I believe, I can't remember, it's like December 22nd, 23rd, whatever that Wednesday is, will be the last square. Because there's actually a couple days more than 52 weeks in 366-day year. So here's a close-up of the row that I worked on. The one in the dark brown in this row is kind of similar to this purple one in that it actually has full crosses in it. So, but that's a fun piece. Almost done with that one. That will be a finish this year. And then the whole rest of the week I was working on Star Wars, and I got my page finished. So I finished up the equivalent of 1,750 full stitches for the word harvest, and I kept going. I sent a picture to Anne of Fiber Floss and Fiction Podcast. I'm like, this page does not have 4,000 tent stitches left for the word pumpkins in Wheel of Fortune in Full Coverage Fanatics. We're doing the Wheel of Fortune. Now I'm doing the Northern Hemisphere words. And pumpkins was the last word, and it was also the biggest word. You needed 2,000 stitches for the 250 stitch per letter option. But then I do tent stitches, so I had to double it. Well, we estimated, between 1,700 and 2,000 stitches were left in this page. Turns out we were both wrong. And there was 3,000 stitches left in this page. So after I finished that page last night, I came up here next to Darth Vader, and I started on this massive area of black up here to get that last 1,000 stitches. So I now have 2 pages done and another page started, but that meets my goal for the year to get 2 pages done. And there you go. So you can see Darth, and here's Han Solo's blaster in his hands. And then right here is the top of 3PO's head, and you can see just where his little optic sensors, because he's a droid, so he doesn't have eyes. So that's where his face is going to be, right there. So, and that was for the month of November. To get this page done with the black I already had started, I have put in 7,500 tent stitches. So it's the equivalent of a Haid page. Mystic Stitch pages are a tiny bit smaller. So that's why, there's 1,000 here. I already had 800 in black. So it equals out. So this is 25 count, easy count. And this pattern is retired. All of Andrew Reed's work is retired from Mystic Stitch, I believe. But if you look on eBay, you may be able to find some paper copies. And I finally have worked out a method on how to work on the paper copy after I've, been used to working on Pattern Keeper. So, plus there wasn't as much confetti in there. It all kind of, doing the black first, and it all kind of built on the black. But it did take longer because I couldn't just use my right hand, which is my top hand, and just wipe my finger over the tablet. I had to get my left hand out, because I'm left-handed, out from under the fabric, pick up the highlighter, and I had the pattern attached to my fabric with a needle minder, folded up so my highlighter wouldn't get on the fabric. So it takes time to get that hand around, grab the highlighter, highlight what you just did so you don't lose track of where you're at, moving the needle minder around to keep track of where you're at, because you can't zoom in, and just different kind of stitching. But I like the piece, so it's worth it. All right, plans. I only have, out of my 21, 22 or so whips, I think I only had 20 when I started the year. I only have 4 personal goals left, or 4 whips with personal goals that I have not met yet for the year. So I'm going to show you those pieces, because I think now, we have over 5 weeks left of the year. It's safe to say I'm going to get all these goals met. I didn't think I was, but I've got 5 weeks left, and I usually work on like 8 or 9 pieces a month. And I've only got 4 goals. So the first one about, I have to get one more page done on Kindred Spirits. and I'm going to work down here on the gray horse. I have this scrolled up now so you can't see the entire thing, but just to show you where I'm starting at. So here is the top of his neck, or her neck, and then the page will come down to here. So I may start that page this month, even though I'll be working on it next month for Around the World in Full Coverage Fanatics to visit the USA. The second piece that I have not met my goal, and I think this is the one that has the most work put into it, is the Modern Folk Embroidery 4 Seasons Sal. This was from 2018. And I wanted to get the winter section done. And this is where I'm at. This is 28 count Monaco that I dyed myself using, and I'm using acryonym floss. The word escaped me for a minute. So I still have a whole lot of 1/1 to do to finish up. But I've got 5 weeks to do it. So that is another goal. The third piece is the Santa Sampler by Cooler Design Studio. See if I can get it without a glare. And this one, my goal was to get 4 Santas. Didn't matter which 4, just get 4 Santas. And let me mark this. I am using, this is 28 count gingerbread Lugana by Picture This Plus. So I have 1 Santa done that just needs backstitch. So I've got 1 Santa, 3 more to go. And you know, we're coming up on Christmas time, so this is perfect to work on this one. So this will be fun to add some more Santas. Great colors. And then the fourth one is the Templar Prophecy by Long Dog Samplers. I showed that last week. My goal on that one was to get 3 pages, and I have 2 pages done, and I started the 3rd page. So I won't work on it again this month, but I'll work on it next month since I've been working on it every month. But instead of just 1 day or 2 days, I'll probably work on it for a longer period of time to get that 3rd page done. But the goal is not going to be as high on it next year. I think it's going to be number of days instead of like pages. But we'll go over goals when I do my whip parade at the end of 2020. So for this coming week, I could work on any combination of those. And let's see, the rest of the stitching content. I apologize. I was incorrect last week when I showed you my Ort lamp. I knew there was something else I was supposed to be saying when I was saying it, but I couldn't think of it, so I just kept talking. Ort is an actual word. It means like a teeny tiny piece or a morsel. So if you look it up in the dictionary, it's in there. I know a lot of people do make it into the now I'm thinking about it's not. Why can't I think of the word when you shorten a word and when you abbreviate several words and make a new word? I can't think of that. It starts with an A. And all I can think of is anagram, and it's not an anagram. You're yelling at me right now. As soon as I stop recording, I'll think about it. But Ort, a lot of people think it means old raggedy thread, but it is also a word. So I apologize to Sia. I know it particularly irks you when people get that wrong. It's just one of those things you get talking in a video and you just keep going because you don't want to have dead silence like I just had a minute ago. So the rest of the video is real short because my Air Force story is a link rather than a story. But that is it for my stitching content. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving if you're in the United States. And we'll see you next week. So, for the life update, I know a lot of you were wondering how Spencer is doing and how my friend are doing. My friend is doing fine. She recovered after a few days. And the more she talked to different people who were at the show and ate the catering on Friday night, and people who were not at the show, it wasn't food poisoning, but it was like a stomach virus, because not everyone that ate the catering got sick, and people who weren't at the show also had the same nausea, migraine. So it was a stomach virus that's going around down in Louisiana. It wasn't a cold, it wasn't COVID, and it wasn't food poisoning. But she's doing all right now. She's back to eating normally. Spencer was turned out in the pasture for a few days while she recovered and got better. And plus, he had just had a show. He was due for a break anyways. And when she got him back out in the pasture to do some ground driving, she realized what made him trip and fall to his knees during the show. When you ask a horse to extend their gaits to take a bigger step, not faster, but bigger step, one thing that can happen is they can overreach, and their hind hoof can actually come so far up that it clips the back of their front hoof, and that's what had happened. So in the dressage test, they're in a collected canter, which is more up than forward. And then they go into an extended canter, which is all forward, moving. And so he was really reaching with those hind legs and bringing them forward. And he clipped his shoes. He wears shoes in the front. And so he essentially tripped himself. And when you're moving that fast, even a small little hit or scrape can throw you off. And so that's what happened. He bent his shoe a little bit, but no serious damage to his heel or his hoof. So my friend was able to repair the shoe without calling the farrier, which is her husband's son anyways. So he's fine, she's fine, and they're back to normal. It's still warm down there. It cooled off, and it's still in the 50s. Fahrenheit, so there's still mosquitoes and flies and bees flying around, but Spencer thinks that's cold. We are still in school here. However, the Girl Scouts for the region, which is North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota, have determined that they are not going to allow in-person troop meetings for troops that have more than 8 girls in it. So my oldest daughter will not be having in-person Girl Scout meetings through the end of January. So this past Friday she had an activity they did together over Zoom, which is kind of disappointing because the troop leaders have planned all these fun activities, and now they have to find alternate things to do. Over half the troop is in the same class, 3rd grade class. But I know that's not the case for, all 3 states. But here on base, they see each other every day anyways. So it seems a little ridiculous to us, whereas other school districts that may not see each other, or maybe in different schools, it could be a different story. So, and for my Air Force story this week, I'm going to direct you to a cool video about aircraft maintainers that was made in 2016, and it was posted all over Facebook, but it is on YouTube, so I will put a link to that video below. It's got footage of maintainers from many, many years ago all the way through current day. Some aircraft that were still around, like the B-52 many, many years ago, black and white footage. All the way through today. So you can, there's cool footage of the tail section being off the F-16 and just all kinds of cool things. So go check out the video and learn a bit about maintainers and our mindset and how we see things. So that is your Air Force story for the week. I will see you guys later. Like I said, happy Thanksgiving, and get some stitching in, and We'll see you here next week. Bye, guys.